Thank you very much. And welcome to Cats and Dogs here on Press TV with me, Len Topic. And this week, it's time for Facebook to face the music. In the future, if you decide to log into your Facebook account, you'll quite possibly be faced with this message. Server cannot be found, no matter how many times you press the F5 key. Yes, as you may know, Mark Zuckerberg has decided to change his infamous company's name. Goodbye Facebook, hello Meta. This name change appears to be a desperate attempt to escape from its past, because he must think that no one in a million years will ever suspect that Meta used to be Facebook. Call it Facebook or Meta or Better or whatever. The Zuckerberg company fingerprints can be found all over events around the world, including personal attacks, fake news, insurgencies, coups, street fights, misinformation and disinformation, and forgotten passwords. During Zuckerberg's leadership, Facebook and its sister social media have become a home for bullying teenagers, making young girls to test their own bodies, spreading misinformation, fanning the flames of racism, and of course, the ugliest evil of them all, the unforgivable habit of people's photographs of their food. I mean, why do people do that? But maybe this change is good. After all, Facebook has apparently become the meta location for everything. Why go to your doctor when on Facebook you can have a highly informative chat free of charge by great medical experts who have apparently invented a fix for whatever ails you, including a surefire cure for COVID-19 called ivermectin. But don't use it. You may get it for a knockout price. It happens to be a knockout horse drug. Zany Zuckerberg claims, "We're a company that focuses on connecting people." That's true. You can connect with billions of folks, some of whom don't even exist. And you can connect with their formal side, their happy side, or even their dark side. Yes, it's a level of connection that's just one step off World War III. Now, Facebook's other mission, which MetaMark rarely discusses, is sharing the user's data with just about any person, any company, or any agency. Actually, not any. Just those who make the offers that they can't refuse. According to leaked documents and papers, those customers include, albeit not exclusively, intelligence agencies, election campaign HQs, and advertising companies. But don't be put off by that. If your price is right, I'm sure they'll be happy to see what they can do for you. In terms of the name change, as the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche famously said, "The snake dies if it doesn't shed its skin." Surely this is truly impressive, because it proves that even though Friedrich Nietzsche died 121 years ago, he still predicted Facebook's name change. But why Meta? Some suggest it stands for marketing everyone's tradable assets. There are other possible names. Big Brother could have been appropriate, and pretty honest, because they're always watching you. Or what about POP, standing for profits over people? Meanwhile, some claim to have seen Zuckerberg's new company logo on a once super famous group of spokespeople for a generation, the faces of Ninja Turtles.
It is time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do. To reflect who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
Critics insist that Zuckerberg's Facebook name change is only in order to get rid of its bad image. Imagine if Saddam Hussein had changed his name to Iraq's nice, easygoing president before being caught and executed. Doubtless, history would have taken a very different course. Now, renaming is usually for a select few reasons. For example, James Bond had asked a colleague of his to call him 007 for security reasons. Because obviously, if you say 007, no one could possibly suspect you mean James Bond. Former footballer Pelé was actually called Edson Arantes do Nascimento. But it's a lot harder to chant, there's only one Edson Arantes do Nascimento. There's only one Edson Arantes do Nascimento. It doesn't even fit the song, does it? You get the picture. Actually, their chant was, M5, 8 foi Pelé. At stadiums, meaning in 58 it was Pelé. Still, that's a lot better than M5, 8 foi Edson Arantes do Nascimento, but I digress. Now, as for Facebook, no one was chanting, in 04 it was Facebook, in 04 it was Facebook. And in 2021, no one's going to be chanting, in 21, Meta's the one. Even though the company has not just lost its face, it's also lost its book. But the thing is, the mountains of allegations still remain. If Britain changed the name of autumn to happy season, it would still be raining. And if the world's wealthiest drugs dealer, Pablo Escobar, had changed his name to, say, Speedy Gonzales, the police would not have said, oh, sorry, sir, we thought you were someone else. Have a nice day now. And I love your cartoons. Would they? Now, let's be fair and give Zuckerberg the right to reply. Here's the Facebook CEO himself and what he has to say about why he decided to rebrand his company.
Here's mine. I'm at the top, boss, and I'm spitting fire like I'm hot sauce. You can't sneak up on Zuck. I don't even blink. I'm the CEO and knowing what you think. Hey, I've been looking up your family. It can start. My God, couldn't clean your daddy's laundry with apartheid. What's the Oculus, Instagram, WhatsApp? I'm cleaning up like a wet nurse. I drive around in a hatchback. Beep, beep. I like your story like Snapchat.
Well, I take it back. I'm totally convinced. And in that spirit, let's take a look at some photos of Mark Zuckerberg to see how his efforts are admired and respected all over the world. In this picture, Zuckerberg is helping children learn all about hate speech against Black Americans by looking at examples of, well, hate speeches against Black Americans on the social network formerly known as Facebook. Here, Mohammed bin Salman is thanking Zuckerberg for selling him the spyware known as Pegasus, but modestly, Mr. Zuckerberg is quick to point out the spyware was not his work, but made by the Israeli company NSO Group, but that it seems to still work well on the social network formerly known as Facebook. Now, in this picture, Mr. Zuckerberg has made the Saudi Crown Prince a great offer to help to interfere in that nation's elections, only to discover that they've solved the problem themselves by not having any elections in the first place. And in this picture, we capture the moment the man formerly known as Mark Zuckerberg finally solves the problem of all that bad publicity and trouble that Facebook has caused all over the world by changing its name to Meta and his name to not Mark Zuckerberg. Now it's time this week to see who's the good, who's the bad, and who's the ugly. Surprisingly enough, the good this week is Human Rights Watch. They slammed Facebook for axing Palestinian content of Israeli human rights violations. Critics observe Facebook removes photos when they show, for example, Israeli soldiers kicking a Palestinian boy. Why? Presumably to prevent hate spreading. But on Facebook, you can also find Islamophobic posts, presumably for freedom of speech. Will the new Meta continue the noble tradition of not just giving a platform for news, but also deciding what the right news actually is? Now, the bad this week is, yes, Meta Mark Zuckerberg for dodging the problems of Facebook instead of solving them. Remember, he knows almost everything about you. What you eat, what you wear, what you love, where you go today and whether you've ever taken a ridiculous photo of your dinner and put it online. And his team just loves the value of your private information. And there's nothing better about that data. And ugly this week is former US President Donald Trump. He has launched his own social media called, wait for it, Truth Social. Truth? A man who was so closely associated with fake news during his presidency that even if Trump claimed he was lying, people wouldn't believe him. Now, here's an idea. To fill the space left by Meta Mark Zuckerberg, Trump could simply call his news site Fakebook. That's all on Press TV with me, Len Batopic, and Cats and Dogs.